Look at this car. In 2021, it was the symbol of the future. Hertz, the giant of the rental world, stood on a stage and made a promise that shook the industry. They were buying 100,000 Teslas. It was the biggest electric vehicle order in history. The stock price skyrocketed. The world cheered for the green revolution. But as we stand here in 2026, those same cars are sitting in dusty lots, being sold off for pennies on the dollar. The dream has turned into a $2 billion disaster. Hertz didn't just miscalculate the market. They walked into a trap that almost erased a century of business history. This is the story of the Hertz collapse. This is how the Tesla bet became the most expensive mistake in the history of mobility. You see, Hertz's problem in 2026 isn't just about the environment. It's about the brutal reality of depreciation. Today, I'm going to reveal the secret internal numbers that forced Hertz to dump its electric fleet, the truth about the repair crisis that drained their cash flow, and why Elon Musk's price wars were the final nail in the Hertz coffin. This isn't just a business update. It's a masterclass in capital misallocation. If you think moving to green energy is as simple as changing the fleet, you haven't seen the balance sheet of the world's most famous rental company. To understand the crisis of 2026, we have to look at the depreciation trap. In the rental business, the most important number isn't how much you make from a rental. It's how much you can sell the car for after 12 months. Hertz bought 100,000 Teslas at the peak of the market. But then, Elon Musk did the unthinkable. He started slashing the prices of new Teslas to fight the competition. Overnight, the value of Hertz's entire fleet plummeted. They were holding assets that were losing value faster than a stale loaf of bread. In 2026, the write-downs have reached billions of dollars. Hertz wasn't just a rental company anymore. They were a bank holding bad debt, and the debt was made of lithium and steel. But let's talk about the repair nightmare. In 2026, Hertz has admitted a painful truth. Electric cars are a disaster for the rental model. Renters treat cars like they don't own them, because they don't. They hit curbs, they scratch the paint, and they get into minor accidents. For a traditional gas car, these are cheap fixes. For a Tesla, a minor bump can mean a total battery replacement or a 6-month wait for specialized parts. The repair costs for the Hertz EV fleet were double what they predicted. The cars were spending more time in the shop than on the road. Hertz was paying the insurance, the interest, and the storage for a fleet that couldn't generate a single cent. It was a logistical death spiral. Inside the headquarters in Estero, Florida, the vibe is retreat at all costs. The leadership team that pushed the EV pivot has been replaced. In 2026, Hertz is performing a massive U-turn, buying tens of thousands of gas-powered cars just to keep the business running. They are trying to find a balance in a world that isn't ready for total electrification. But the damage is done. The trust of the investors is broken, and the company is struggling under a mountain of debt created by their own future-proofing. They tried to be the first mover, but they ended up being the first victim of a market that moved in a way nobody expected. Let's talk about the consumer gap. In 2026, Hertz realized that their customers didn't actually want to rent EVs for long trips. Renters were terrified of range anxiety. They didn't want to spend their vacation looking for a charger or waiting an hour for a battery to fill up. The demand for the Tesla fleet was far lower than the supply. Hertz had to discount the rentals just to get them out of the lot, further destroying their margins. They built a solution for a problem that the average traveler didn't want to solve on their holiday. This customer mismatch is a classic example of a company listening to the headlines instead of the people at the counter. Look at the geopolitical shift. In 2026, the rise of cheap Chinese EVs from BYD and Xiaomi has made the Tesla fleet look overpriced and outdated. Hertz is stuck with thousands of cars that are technically old tech compared to the new solid-state battery models hitting the market. They are a legacy owner in a fast-moving software race. While their rivals like Enterprise moved more cautiously, Hertz bet the farm on one brand and one technology. Now, they are paying this single-source tax. They are tied to the whims of Elon Musk, a man who cares more about his own mission than the survival of his biggest customers. So what is the endgame for Hertz? In the business world of late 2026, rumors of a potential bankruptcy, the second in a decade, are starting to surface. The company is desperately trying to sell off its remaining EVs to retail buyers, flooding the used car market and further hurting their own values. They are a giant trying to shed its skin, but the skin is stuck. We are witnessing the slow-motion dismantling of the green rental dream. It's a cautionary tale for any CEO who wants to look innovative without doing the math on the actual reality of the operation. The lesson for every entrepreneur and investor is that the future is expensive and timing is everything. Being right too early is the same as being wrong. Hertz was right that the world is going electric, but they were wrong about how fast and at what cost. They forgot that in a capital-intensive business, your assets are your destiny. If you can't control the value of your assets, you can't control your business. In 2026, Hertz is a smaller, weaker, and much more cautious version of itself. Will Hertz survive the decade? Probably. But they will never be the leaders of innovation again. They have returned to the safety of the internal combustion engine, waiting for the infrastructure and the technology to actually catch up to the hype. The yellow giant has been humbled by the electric dream. One thing is certain. The next time a company announces a 100,000-unit order for a new technology, the market won't be cheering. It will be checking the fine print. The era of performative innovation is facing its final sunset. The era of operational reality has begun. What do you think? Would you rent an EV for your next trip, or is the hassle still too much? Let me know in the comments below. We're watching the giants so you can see the moves before they happen. Hit that subscribe button and stay ahead of the curve. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.